Last week we talked about purchasing a new PC for your business. This week we thought we'd talk to you about some of the things that we like to do when we set up that PC so that it has the least amount of negative impact as that customer, that end user is making their transition to a new PC. The first thing we do, as in any case, is back up the data from that computer, from the old computer. And when you back up that data, primarily we're concerned with any documents that they have that wouldn't be saved on the server. So you're looking inside the user profile and you're going to look for their desktop, their documents, their favorites, music, videos, anything in the general user data folder, but you don't want to take all the junk like all the temporary folders and application data and things like that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in the blog post we post with this, we'll give you a sample link to the subfolder for the user profile and the specific folders we look for. You also may want to discuss with the user if they save anything in any other random places. Sometimes people put a folder in the root of the C drive and save things there. You never know. All people are different. We try to make it a policy that people only save to certain places, whether it's on the server or redirected folders, whatever. But you know, I know it's not always like that. So back up the data is our first and foremost issue or thing that we recommend so that that person has the smoothest transition, and when they get to their new computer, we're not caught by surprise with anything that might be missing. Finally, with the backup, we don't want to delete anything from the old computer until that person has sat in front of the new computer for some time, in case we need to go back to that old computer to grab something that they forgot about and that we missed. So, you know, usually give them a few days to a week to figure that out. And that is our number one tip for this. Number two is take an inventory of everything that's on the old computer. Our software automatically takes an inventory of the software that's on there. You also want to take an inventory of the peripherals that are connected. So you have all the drivers pre-downloaded for the printer, for the scanner, for maybe a signature device, whatever might be connected to that computer. You want to make sure you have all those drivers downloaded, and as soon as you sit down to install that computer at that person's desk or laptop, whatever, that you can install those bang, bang, bang and get everything up and running as quickly as possible. So again, this transition is incredibly smooth. You also want to make an inventory of the possible connections to the existing peripherals. A lot of times, especially now with the transition in video connections, is that a monitor might have a VGA connection or a DVI connection, but the new computer isn't going to have those. They're going to have a DisplayPort connection. So you might need a DisplayPort adapter. It's a $15 component that changes DisplayPort to DVI. You may need to buy new monitors. You may need USB cables or anything that, you know, if you imagine, and this is the way we have our techs handle it, is if they imagine they're carrying that computer in and they're sitting down at that desk and they're going to plug things in, you know, what are they going to pick up that they say, oh, I needed an adapter for that, right? So take an inventory, again, of software, all the software that needs to be pre-installed on that computer, anything that the client uses, the end user uses on a daily basis, to make sure we have all of that pre-downloaded and ready to go, so that we can install it either before it leaves our office, before that person sits in front of it, so they don't go, oh, wait a minute, I need to have this installed. You don't want to have that back and forth. You want to take an inventory of any of the peripherals that need to be connected, so you can download your drivers for that. And you also, as you're looking at those peripherals, want to make sure that you have all the proper connections so that you don't need to have any adapters you need to run out for later. So take that inventory. Number three is pre-install as much as you can before it gets in front of that person. So we pre-install antivirus first. Number one main reason is because if we transfer data over, if there happens to be a virus that was not caught previously, we want to make sure that in a new computer, a clean computer, that antivirus is installed so we can have the maximum chance of intercepting something before it goes over to that new computer. And you know, a properly managed computer is probably not going to have a virus, but we always want to be absolutely sure. The other thing that you want to install in there is any remote software, any management software, software like Microsoft Office, things you know they're going to use. And then you hit that inventory that you took and pre-install anything like Chrome if they're a Chrome user, Java if they need to have Java on the PC, Adobe Flash if they need that, industry-specific computers, whether it's engineering software or Salesforce, something like, any plugins they need to have installed. You want to pre-configure Outlook so their email's already flowing in. Have all of that ready so that when it sits down, the only thing you're installing are the things that need to be done that couldn't be done previous. And minimize your time at that person's desk. Number 4 is document it. So the first time we ever work on a client's computer, we start from step 1, 2, 3 at a high level and say, okay, we need to configure the computer with this name. So we keep the naming structure all the same. We keep the username structure all the same. We have all of these pieces of software installed on every computer. We install these printers all of the time. We keep that at a very high level, and then as we go back and make notes, we add to it, we fill in the missing pieces. And we have it down to a point now with our clients that routinely have new computer set up. And in fact, it's almost more important for people that don't routinely have new computer set up, because you forget all of that stuff. So it's easy. If you have it all documented, you can say, first thing we do this, second thing we do this, and then you have continuity through all of it. And you're not having the situations where the client calls you back in 2 hours and says, hey, you guys forgot to install this, or hey, this isn't working. We know that when we install it in this order, everything works properly. We know that they're always going to need this piece of software, or this person always needs this specific piece of software because that's what they work with. We want to minimize that back and forth conflict, because the process of getting a new PC is a little stressful. There's adjustment to the new operating system, there's adjustment to the new hardware, adjustment to the fact that things are just a little bit different. We want to get them back to work as quickly as possible without that back and forth, hey, you forgot this, or hey, this doesn't look the same, or hey, this isn't working right. Get it in there, get it done, and get it back as quickly as possible, documenting every step. And we take it down to the click OK. Document every step, take the time to do that, and you will not have to do it later. And the last thing is something that's often overlooked, is to test the battery backup unit. A best practice for us is to have a battery backup unit on every PC. It protects it from electrical overload or undercurrent. It protects it from outages. It gives the person time to save the documents if the power goes out. It gracefully shuts down the computer automatically if there is a power outage. So it minimizes any sort of issues that may happen if you just have a surge protector. These don't get tested a lot. We make it part of a yearly test for us, but a good time to do it, just to make sure that it's getting done, is when that computer is replaced. If your computers are replaced every 3 to 5 years, the UPS is probably going to need to be replaced every 3 years. Sometimes they last longer, sometimes they don't warn you when they're going bad. So as a best practice, we like to test that UPS just one time. Maybe before you take the old computer off, just unplug the UPS from the wall and see if it stays on. I don't recommend doing that with the new computer, because you don't want to cause damage to the new computer, have it shut down improperly. But last but not least is test your battery backup unit on the computer so that you have another few years to not have to worry about that. I hope this was helpful as you're installing your new PC. If you have any questions about it, recommendations, comments, concerns, feel free to leave it in the comments on Facebook or on our blog post. And we'll be back to you next week with another top 5 tips for something in IT.